Today we have a former Eagle, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, guitar living legend, composer of Hotel California, obviously, Don Felder on today. Thank you so much for your time. Really, really appreciate it. And I just wanted to ask you, so you're performing Hotel California every single night, right? I mean, I don't think a gig goes by where you don't perform that song, and it has to be exactly the way people know it, just like the record. What do you need to do to make sure it goes that way every single time?
Well, first of all, it's the most taxing guitar solo part that I have to play during the night. And it's at the end of the set. And everybody, as soon as they see the white double neck come out on stage, they know what's coming. I don't have to say anything, they don't have to announce it. They know what's coming. And so there's a few moments there where they're in such anticipation. I kind of stretch it out a little bit, and there's a place in the song where I step away from the microphone and let the whole crowd sing, "We are all just here because of our own device," in that line. Uh, and so when it gets to that, I step away from the mic and the whole place sings that those lines. And so it's just a lot of fun. Uh, but when you get to the solo at the end, everybody knows every note in that solo. You cannot make a mistake. You can't have a flat bend that doesn't reach the note or hit the wrong note. Heaven forbid. So
Yeah.
I do a lot of warm up before I go out on stage every night. I have a little amp in my dressing room and I'm sitting playing most of the solos I work on. Some of the newer solos off the vault, I refresh my memory on that too to make certain. Then I run through the solo at the end of Hotel, just playing it, just to make certain, it's fresh in my mind, it's fresh on my hands.
So you play it every day. And do you have a practice routine, exercises that you go through, just things to maintain your technique?
Well, yeah, I do a lot of regular major scales, which if you're playing blues and rock, it's usually not a lot of major scales. It's like minor scales. But I play a lot of major scales all the way up and all the way down the neck, just to keep my hands well oiled, I guess is the best way to put it. And to also remind myself all it's one thing if you sit down on the piano and you play a scale, you go up to the next octave and you play it exactly the same keys on the piano. The next octave is the same key. But on guitar, every time you go up, it's a different inversion of that particular scale. So you got to learn to play all the scales all the way up the neck and all the way back down the neck too at the same time. And it keeps it fresh. It keeps your mind and your hands well lubed, I guess is the best way to put it.
How much time do you spend practicing every single day? Is it a lot of time, or you just been doing it so long that you don't need as much time to get going?
No, I'm sitting in my studio and I have live tracks at 96K of my whole show. And I just come in and I mute my voice and I mute the guitar that's recorded and I run the whole show right here in the studio. If I'm off the road for a week, I'll run it two, if not three times a week, just to keep every little detail, the lyrics and singing and playing all at the same time, keep it really fresh. So I do my best to present the absolute best performance that I can. There's nothing worse than going to see somebody. I remember taking my 10-year-old son to see Eric Clapton back in the 70s. And Eric was at his worst back in the 70s. Great player, but he was on stage and you could tell right away that not all of Eric was there. Something else was going on. And my son was learning to play guitar. And so we went to see Eric. We're sitting about 3 or 4 rows back from the stage, and he hits a couple of just frightening clams. My son looks at me and says, "Did he just make a mistake?" And I went, "Yeah, I think everybody makes a mistake from now and then." And I excuse it. And about 5 minutes later, Dirk, there's another one. And my son says, "He sure is making a lot of mistakes." So I do my best not to disappoint anyone. If I'm out playing heavy metal or hotel or whatever it is that I'm playing, I want to be the absolute best I can be. Now, on the road, when we did Hell Freezes Over, I would get up in the morning. I'd have a guitar in my bedroom. I would play guitar for about an hour. We'd go down, get on a plane, fly out to another city, land, go into the stadium. We'd have a sound check, which was about 2 hours playing through all the sound check. Once you're in the stadium, you can't leave and come back. So backstage, I had a case that was set up with a little ADAT recorder and an amp and stuff, so I could sit backstage and play and make little ideas up and record them. Right. So then we'd go out and go do a 3 hour show. I was playing between 6 and 8 hours a day, to the point where I just had the chops of doom when I went out. If you watch any of those live videos from the Hell Freezes Over, you'll see the work that you put into it. It comes back to you, just being
Uh,
able to play so well.
I remember reading that story in your book too. You were practicing 6 hours a day to stay away from the groupies, right? Or try to avoid.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
So, what are you actually thinking about? So you're playing Hotel California. You played it a million times, but are you still conscious of every note as it goes by? Is it pretty much automatic at this point? What are you actually thinking about when that solo is happening?
I am concentrating on nothing else in the world but that solo. If you take your mind off of it, it's like if you're driving now and then you reach over to grab your phone and then bam, you're going to get in an accident, right? So I have to stay pinpoint focused on that performance, every note, every place in it, the bend and everything, to really deliver it at the level of quality that I think it deserves.
Hmm. And looking back to your time growing up in Gainesville, Florida, it's amazing the talent that came out of Gainesville. But what were you practicing when you first started playing guitar at around age 10? Apparently, you were the best guitar player in town by age 15, right? What did you do to get so good so fast? What were you working on?
Well, there was no internet. There were no iPhones. There wasn't. We had an old black and white television that had three channels, and it went off the air at sundown. And it was mostly Walter Cronkite, older news programs that were running in my house. But my spare time when I wasn't in school, instead of going out and playing baseball or doing this, I just sat and played guitar. I was just absolutely captivated and fell in love with playing music. And all I wanted to do was learn new songs, learn licks, and get BB King records so I could learn to play like BB King. I've studied Chet Atkins, learned to play like him. Just pretty much any and everything I heard that was fascinating, I wanted to learn to play. So that's what I did. Other people would be playing baseball or, on the swim team or something, whatever it was. But I didn't do any of the sports. I just spent every spare minute playing guitar.
You were just obsessed with the guitar and just playing it all day
Absolutely.
long. Yeah.
Yep.
Were you
Yeah.
playing exercises, scales, things like that, or you were just learning songs and learning from records?
At first, I was just learning songs, and then later I got Mel Bay guitar books that taught you major scales and minor scales and that sort of stuff, and different chord progressions. And so I sort of just educated myself. There was no music school there in Gainesville. We couldn't afford to go anyway if we even had a music school. So I spent a lot of time hanging out at the local music store that had guitars and amps and everything. And I would just hang out and play. And then while I was playing, other people would come in and want me to demonstrate the guitar they were looking at, and I'd play for it. The next thing I know, the guy that owns the music store said, "You should be teaching guitar in here. We'll sell them and you teach them lessons how to play." So I didn't get paid cash. I got store credit. So it was interesting to be able to build up enough money to buy a new guitar and buy an amplifier and trade in my old stuff and whatnot. But anyway, I just fell in love with it, and there was nothing else I wanted to do. Even today, the most exciting and fun thing I can do is walk out on stage and play in front of a bunch of people. I just love it.
So just a lifelong love of guitar and music and I mean, given that you put in so much time, in your opinion, is talent real or is it just the time you put in?
I think it's both. I think there are people that are just gifted natural talents that have an amazing voice, an amazing ear. And then there are people like myself, Tom Petty, who have to develop their singing and develop their songwriting. It's not just something that magically happens. It takes time and effort and energy. Your voice is like a muscle. And if you want to be a better singer, you have to strengthen that muscle. You have to work it. You have to go through all sorts of scales and sing and broaden your range, the high notes and the low notes, and so that you can develop that talent, that skill. Some people just it comes naturally. Guitar came naturally to me, and I had to develop my voice along the way.
So you just put a lot of work in. So talent, maybe
Yeah.
talent's overrated in a sense, or
No, no, I wouldn't say that.
I wouldn't say that. So it is real. It
Yeah.
is a real thing. Just
Yeah.
and when does your okay, so you're learning all these records, you're learning solos from records, and you're pretty much absorbing other people's tones and other people's sounds. When does your sound come in, your signature sound, your originality come in?
Well, I joined a band, and after Bernie Ledden left and moved back, and Stephen Stills left and moved to California, I put together a band that was a jazz rock fusion band. So nothing was ever the same solo twice. You just improvise. Like if you go watch great jazz, those guys not they don't have a memorized solo. They just it just flows out of them. So I developed my skills to be able to improvise by doing that for a year and a half in New York City and making my first album, which was a jazz fusion rock album. And it's a great thing to be able to walk into a studio like this one we're in and go, oh, I'm going to write a solo. Okay, plug it in. Here we go. And just be able to make up something. You know, the creative process is something you can't learn, but you can learn how to let it out of you if you've got that music creativity in you. Yeah, you just find a place to let it out. And
Hmm.
then you figure out, well, you do need to develop skills and scales and stuff like that to be able to do that really well and comfortably. Like Herbie Hancock's a brilliant keyboard player. He doesn't have to practice scales and that sort of stuff, but his creativity just rolls out of him every night. Never the same thing. Miles Davis was the same way. So anyway, one of the things I do want to talk about is The Vault, my new album, which has been out now for a month or so, and how that came about. It's called The Vault because when I moved out of Malibu in 2000, I put all of my recording equipment and studio console and tape machines and tapes in storage. And then I went about buying another house here in LA. And it turns out I bought a house from Seal that had this studio in it, but it didn't have any equipment. He had taken his equipment out when I bought it. So I put together a new digital studio instead of the old 24 track tape machines. It's all digital now. So about 21 or 22 during COVID, I went, I don't even remember what's in that locker. I put this stuff in there 20 years ago. I just should go take a look and see what's in there. I opened the door and there's my console and tape machines has not been touched. There's a big cardboard box in the middle of the floor that's got probably 100 cassettes. It's got ADATs in it. It's got CDs in it. So every time I would write an idea, I would make a rough demo of it and throw it in this box. So when I moved out, I found this box full of ideas that went back into the early 70s, like 73, 74, all the way up to today. Even today, I have them stored not on cassettes, but I have them stored on hard drives here in my studio. So, and I heard some of those ideas. Now, that was a great idea. We were transferring from cassette to digital, and the music was just running all the time. I said, well, I put a star by that one. And I picked out six of them just in the first day of transferring. And I said, okay, stop right there. Keep transferring, but let's go make these song ideas complete. So we re recorded the whole thing, brought it up to modern technology. None of them had lyrics, none of them had vocals on it because they were all song ideas that were written for the Eagles to sing, the Eagles to write lyrics to. And so, anyway, I went back in and re recorded all the basic tracks and wrote the lyrics and sang it myself. So it was just a fun process and not having any restrictions that I could do anything I want. That's one of the beautiful parts of being a solo act is that you can do whatever you want. And I've got a lot of great friends that came in and played on this album with me, like Nathan Eat, Matt Bissonette from Elton John's band, Brian Tishy, Jim Keltner, White Snake, excuse me, Brian Tishy, who's played with Ozzy Osbourne or White Snake, Todd Zuckerman from Styx, just a ton of different people. Nathan East came in and played on bass on a bunch of stuff. Greg Gaines, just great people. So when these guys come in and play, it just makes music wonderful, you know. So anyway, I had a great time doing it, put it out. It's getting really great reception everywhere. And have you listened to the album
Sounds
yourself?
amazing. Yeah, I listened to it a few days ago. Yeah, it sounds amazing.
Yeah,
Congrats.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
even I even redid heavy metal because after listening to heavy metal a lot, it sounded like the 80s. It was all analog tape and wasn't that crispy, pristine thing that we have now. So I re-recorded that song from the ground up. And it's all done at 96K with the greatest modern technology and mastering and everything. It just sounds really great.
And it has your tone, your signature tone. I mean, to me, your tone is easily identifiable. It's consistent through the decades. And to me, I don't know if this sounds crazy, but it almost mimics your speaking voice, timbre-wise. You know, there's like a parallel there. I mean, am I crazy in thinking that? And how does one develop their individual tone where it stays consistent?
It's funny when you bring that whole thing up. There's a couple of things. Number one, it's not the arrow, it's the Indian that makes a great shot, you
Not the
know?
gear. Yeah.
Yeah. Walsh, we were working on something one day, and Walsh had been out and bought this really great 57 Strat, brought it in and opened the case and plugged it in. And he's sitting there playing it. It just sounds great, but it sounds really great like Joe Walsh. So I said, let me try that. And I play it. It sounds like me. It's in the hands of the artist, it's the Indian, it's not the arrow, it's the Indian, it's not the guitar, it's not the amp, it's the way you play that people, it's like a guy's voice. You can recognize somebody's voice like that. You can recognize somebody's style. Plus, I'm not a shredder. I've never been a shredder. I don't enjoy shredding, to tell you the truth. I can't even do it well. I don't want to do it well. I try to play much more melodically, to tell you the truth.
Mhm.
But I am working on a fabulous thing with St. Jude
Yeah,
Children's Research Hospital. I'd like to talk about that for a few minutes too.
absolutely.
It's a sweepstakes offer that you can go to donfelder.com/contests, and it'll take you right to a page where you can click on a QR code and you can make a contribution. That's your winning ticket. When you buy a $50 ticket, or if you want to do two, you give them $100. You want a four, you give them $200, whatever it is. All of that money goes to St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. And the things that are in the package are just phenomenal. There's round trip airfare for two anywhere in the United States to Nashville, Tennessee. A friend of mine owns the Westin Hotel right in the middle of Nashville, Tennessee. At the top floor has the Broadway suite. It's the biggest, most beautiful suite I think I've ever stayed in, to tell you the truth. And even in the bedroom part of the suite, it has mirrors on the ceiling. So when I stayed there the first time, I said, "Where's the pink champagne on ice? I know you got the mirrors, right? But where's the?" So anyway, you'll get 3 nights there in that giant suite in Nashville. It's right next door to the Gibson Garage. So we take you over to the Gibson Garage. You'll be presented with a white double neck guitar like the one I play. And if you enter in the first week, you'll stand a chance in that drawing. You'll win a Sunburst Gibson Les Paul in that first week if you enter in the first week. So, and then you will go over to the Gibson Garage, and we're going to take you downstairs into the vault at the Gibson Garage, and they have it all locked up. You Very few people get to go in there, but there are the original first creations of the Gibson Les Paul, the Gibson J200, the Explorer, the original guitars that were first made by Gibson. You get to take them out of the case and hold them and play them. I'm going to give you a guitar lesson. If you're a guitarist, I'll give you a guitar lesson for maybe an hour or something if you want to learn to play something, or we can work up the solo for Hotel California and trade that off or something
Cool.
fun, you know? Um, and then you'll be my personal guest when we go to the Gibson garage. And then we're going to take you over to the Musicians Hall of Fame, which is about a block or two away. Take you through the Musicians Hall of Fame there in Nashville, where I have a guitar on display, and the people that own and run that thing is going to take you through, and they'll just be full of all sorts of wonderful information about every exhibit that they have there. So anyway, it's a great thing, and every dime goes to, like I said, St. Jude Children's Hospital. My personal guest the next day at a showcase at the Gibson Garage, where it's gonna be open to the public, but I'll invite this person to come with me to see my showcase.
Amazing, an amazing opportunity. Great.
Yeah.
I just have one more question for you. I'm going to get you out of here. So, you've been performing for over 60 years. Do you still get nervous on stage?
The only time I've actually been nervous, I started getting up on stage when I was 11, and I just started playing guitar when I was 10. I would get up at the State Theater on Saturday. They had a matinee for kids. It would either be a bunch of cartoon shows or something like that. But before the matinee, they had a talent contest up on stage. So I would get up every single Saturday and play in front of people, right? And I would sing Elvis songs, uh, just different songs that I had worked up and I was learning. I've never gotten really nervous about it, because the only time I've been really nervous is when we had an event at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And I was asked to come and open that event, which I did with me and Steve Miller and Jimmy Page. And so then they said, "Well, would you play a little bit of Hotel California for the press?" There were like 200 people there from the press, from the Wall Street Journal and CNN, live cameras and note takers and photographers in this one room. And the stage was about 6 feet wide by about 6 feet. It was a tiny little stage, one microphone. I had tracks that I was going to play to. And so, yeah, I said, I'll be glad to do that. So I'll walk out on this little stage, and right in front of me, right in the middle of the stage, in the first row, is Jimmy Page. And I go, oh my God, if I mess up, I will writhe in the middle of the night for the rest of my life. But why did I do that? So I was really nervous about playing right in front of Jimmy Page by myself, not a band, not a everything, just track. And when I got off, he stood up and gave me standing applause for it. So I felt really good.
So it didn't impact your performance. You still nailed it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
have to do that.
Yeah, got to do it. Well, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. And best of luck on this incredible fundraiser and incredible opportunity. And go out and get the new album. It's
The
amazing.
vault.
The
That's
Vault.
right.
Great. Thanks,
Welcome to the vault. There it is.
Tom. It's an amazing album. Great.
Oh,
Thanks for your
good.
time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.